this splendid bank, which has brought together the traditions of two great banks, Adelaide and Bendigo, and that's what we're honouring and celebrating today. If you think back over the history which this bank embodies, you go back over most of the life of our country. 150 years ago when the Bendigo Bank first began, 100 years ago when the Adelaide Bank first began, who could have imagined what would be here today? Who could have imagined all the achievements that this splendid institution has under its belt? 82,000 shareholders, 900 outlets around the country, some $50 billion in funds under management, $3 billion of market capitalisation. Who could have imagined that 150 or 100 years ago? The truth is, none of that was imaginable. None of that could have been specifically planned for all those decades back. But what has characterised this bank and the people who have moved it and shaped it over all those years is a tremendous faith in themselves, a tremendous confidence that they could face the future and meet the challenges of today and tomorrow. If you have that faith in yourselves, almost anything is achievable. Without that faith, nothing is achievable, notwithstanding all the other advantages that you might have. You can have all the wealth, all the natural resources, all the proud history, but without faith in yourself, nothing can be achieved. I believe in Australia. I believe in South Australia. And I know that there have been some shocks and some disappointments suffered by South Australians in recent times. This development today is the best possible antidote to those shocks and those disappointments. And my message to the people of Adelaide, the people of South Australia and our country, everyone who works here in the Bank of Bendigo and Adelaide, is never lose faith in yourselves. So much is possible if we believe in ourselves. And we should believe in our country. We should believe in our state. We should believe in this institution, because look at what has been achieved. Now, I like to think that there are two characteristics which epitomise Australia. We believe in a fair go, and we like to think that we are people who will have a go. We will give a fair go to people because we're confident that they will have a go. And can I say that this bank, in its own way, epitomises those two tremendous Australian characteristics. As your chairman and your managing director have just observed, $100 million has been provided by these community banks to their local people. What a tremendous practical illustration of the fair go instinct of our country. And you know, a few years ago as a local member, I was besieged by the business people of Harbord, a suburb in my electorate, distraught that the last remaining bank in Harbord was going. I won't tell you which bank, but they were closing down their branch, and it was the last branch. There had been 4 bank branches in Harbord, but the last one was going. And they turned to me as a minister in the government and as the local member and said, "What can you do to help?" Well, as an individual, even as a minister in a government, there was not much that I could do to help. But I did know of this bank Bendigo Bank, which wasn't just a top-down bank where the shareholders, the directors and the managing director and the chairman made all the decisions in some ivory tower. This was a bottom-up bank where customers and people could help to generate their own banking services. And so what happened was that the people and the businesses of Harbord in my electorate came together. They put up a certain amount of capital and a community bank under the auspices of the Bendigo Bank opened. And that has been a watershed in the life of that particular community. What was a run-down commercial centre was transformed, partly by the presence of a bank and partly by the exercise in community togetherness which the formation of that bank generated. So not only is this bank a fine illustration of the fair go principle, it is a tremendous, exhilarating, a shining example of the have a go principle. Right around Australia there's some 300 community banks which the Bendigo and Adelaide Bank has auspiced. So I do regard this as quite a special day, not just for this bank, not just for the 1,100 people who work here in this building, but for banking generally and for everyone who has a stake in a good, strong economy, and that means every single Australian. This is a special day. I am very proud to be here, and it should be a proud and confident day for the people of South Australia and for all Australians.